I'm going to look into the camera and say this because it's a very personal thing.
Yeah, do it.
If you want to enter hospitality, you must be prepared to suffer. You must be prepared to do everything that you don't want to do with a smile on your face.
Thanks for having us, Jeff.
Thanks for coming.
Yes. So I've been here a couple of times, and every time I come here, I have to say that totally impressed. I brought some folks with me today,
Sure.
And I'm sure they left here with a good feeling. Do you want to tell me what's the background of your business, why you chose this location, how you got into it?
So, Just Teddy is a byproduct of my family's love for hospitality. Welcoming people into your household and treating them like family, even though they're strangers, but treating them as if they're one of your own, and just making them feel happy and kind. My family comes from a property background.
Sure.
And then we entered into hospitality because my sister and I studied the industry and the craft. My sister being a professional pastry chef, and I am a professional food and beverage manager. My father came off the Great South African Bake Off as the runner-up. It was a BBC production locally. He was the runner-up of that competition. And everything just tied hand in hand in terms of us entering into the hospitality industry as a family.
Yeah.
And again, I say it's a byproduct of my family because what you see is what my family loves in terms of luxury, wealth, togetherness, fine dining-esque food, luxury teas. We're a well-traveled unit, my family, and this is our platform and a canvas in which we convey who we are as people.
Yes. So what about the Middle Eastern influence in what you do? Where does that come from?
So my family is of Lebanese origin and so to a French origin. Lebanon was a French colony, the Paris of the Middle East if you have it. So my great-grandparents had some French in them. My great-grandmother was French, so that's where the French influence also comes in. From my Lebanese and French heritage, because Lebanon was a French colony.
Wow. Do you think, and cultural orientation is important in terms of your presentation of your product?
I think it is because culture is an element of aesthetic, I believe. And if you want to convey something, it has to have, especially if it's cultural, so it's a very specific thing, culture. You have to convey it in a manner that is native to that culture and it has synergy with that culture. So what we do is, obviously it's French Lebanese, but we don't, lock it in as only that. We play on our culture, but we don't have the stereotypical Lebanese aesthetic, French aesthetic. We just dabble on it, but we make it unique and fresh in what we do. So if this was a proper Lebanese restaurant, there'd be belly dancers running around every day, a shisha everywhere. So we don't do that. We obviously, because we can't have a shisha, yeah.
Sure.
I'd love the belly dancers. Don't get me wrong, but we don't want to make it too generic.
Yeah.
And too stereotypical of Lebanese culture because it can be very exuding of itself. Lebanese culture, it's very rich, but sometimes it can just be overdone and oversold. So we're subtle with everything, especially the Lebanese side of us.
Yeah, I do want to say, I understand the cultural context, but for a patron right here, I kind of accept it and feel close to it. It doesn't make me feel it's foreign to me.
Sure.
So I think you're doing it in a way that a lot of us can relate to, although we're not Lebanese ourselves. Tell me the chosen location. How good is it for your business? What brought you to the Hyde Park Mall, if you like?
Well, the main reason why we are in the Hyde Park environment at the Sandhurst area is that because what we do it's very time consuming, it's very specific, especially our French patisserie. It's very specific and it's our job to communicate it correctly to our clientele basis. And given the area's wealth and luxury, the residents of it are well traveled.
Sure.
So that kind of makes our job, I wouldn't say easier, but it helps us convey the message to a better platform to absorb it and understand it. Because there's nothing more disheartening to us in communicating something if somebody just doesn't understand what we're trying to communicate and offer. So given that wealth and luxury in the area, the area has had the opportunity to travel and, receive culture abroad in terms of a Eurocentric manner and just basically understand what we're trying to offer you. Again, we're very specific in what we do and what we offer. It's not for everybody. Being in Hyde Park kind of makes our job easier in the sense that somebody will absorb and appreciate what we do. Because that's the second thing, the appreciation factor. I can't give somebody something that they don't understand and expect them to appreciate it.
Sure.
Then tie in the time factor it takes to do what we do and the effort and the love and passion that gets placed into everything we do. It's just disheartening if somebody just doesn't understand what we're trying to do in terms of a longevity thing for our business, and also as people. It hurts when somebody doesn't like what we're doing or doesn't appreciate it. Hyde Park kind of numbs. I wouldn't say numbs it. It makes it safer. It's a safer option to be here because, again, people understand what we're trying to do here. Whereas I feel that in other malls, that's not necessarily the factor. Not to be, to insult other malls or be disrespectful or condescending. It's just I feel that this area has more pound for pound flesh that understands what we're trying to do and appreciates it.
So, when you walk into Hyde Park, it's an aspirational mall. You would have an idea that everything here is overpriced.
Sure.
But when you sit down here, just terrace, you kind of feel that price is fair.
That's it.
How do you then manage the burden of the cost of being here with an offering that's well priced within everybody's affordability levels?
Well, being Lebanese, we understand how money works. You don't have to be a CA, but if you're Lebanese, you kind of know how money, rands and cents work. So compare that to a restaurant environment where it's very cutthroat. You have to be money conscious in a restaurant. You have to understand you're investing money, capital into perishables. So from a business side, we are on the pulse in terms of what we are doing, what we're offering. That's my job. I understand, restaurant backgrounds in terms of its accountancy and its ops management. Being in a mall like Hyde Park, it's the expectation to, offer something that is very expensive, very luxurious, intimidating, borderline intimidating.
Sure.
When you come to our restaurant, that's not the factor because our whole concept is tangible luxury. We want you to feel the luxury and the velvet texture of our restaurant. But we don't you be intimidated in terms of its price point. We want everybody to come here and feel welcome. Again, that goes down to our Lebanese hospitality. Strangers in the environment will be treated like they are family.
Sure.
Why must I make you pay through an arm and a leg for that? No, we just want to welcome everybody here, make you feel special. And I think that's the soul of luxury, and I think that's the soul of hospitality.
I've got you.
Making people feel special in an environment.
Yes. Do you think that the fact that people around here appreciate what you do inspires your creativity, or is that something that you bring to the party on your own?
Look, it makes it easier again because it's understanding. From an understanding point of view, 9 out of 10 are customer of this area who understand what we're trying to do, but also it's a hard customer, it's a discerning customer, and I appreciate that because if you're not evolving and transcending into something that's improved from what you were the day before, don't do it. So the customer clientele base keeps us on our toes, makes us want to do better, makes us want to achieve and attain more within this mall and who knows outside of the mall.
Sure.
Because I believe you are a product of your environment. We started in a food market, so we were a product of a food market environment.
I've got you.
Opening up in Hyde Park from a food market environment takes balls.
Yeah.
It's a brave thing. It's a very intimidating thing to do, but we knew that we needed time to become a product of this environment.
Yeah.
And our clientele bases, I wouldn't say they never made it easier, but they conveyed from the get-go what's expected.
Sure.
In order to make it in a restaurant environment, let alone the Hyde Park environment, because it's such a special place. It's a specific caliber of store that is in this mall here. And I'm not one for being you have to be the best or you won't win the race if you don't run in it.
Sure. I like that.
You don't have to run in the race to be a part of we chose to be here and we want to do well in this environment.
Sure.
And our clientele help us to be the best that we want to be. I've got nothing wrong with constructive criticism and feedback. If it's coming from something of substance, if it's coming from a source and basis of somebody who understands what they're talking about, perfect. I'll take that jab on the chin. But if it's coming from somebody that just doesn't understand what they're trying to do, it's very hard to accept it.
I've got you. How does, you're currently selling online as well.
Sure.
How does that tie into what you originally intended to do, and as it becomes something important to your business?
Well, I'm very old-fashioned. I wouldn't go say I'm against online, but again, I'm old-fashioned. I'm stuck in my ways.
Yeah.
27, but I feel like an old Lebanese man. So it was a bit of a fat pill to swallow, but Corona, matured that decision quicker than it was supposed to. We had to go online. Long story short, we had to go online because, with Corona, there was a lot of uncertainty, a lot of change, and people were just fighting to survive. Literally, people were fighting tooth and nail to survive. And during lockdown, I took it upon myself to build our own online store because I thought at the time that's what we needed to do.
Sure.
People weren't going to sit in a restaurant. People couldn't leave their house. So how can I expect my business to stay alive by having a person in the chair? Yeah. Because I make money from my chair. I make money from my counter sales. So we developed the concept of luxury in your own household, just Teddy in your own household. When we spun on that, we leveraged on what we're known for, our luxury and our service excellence. Well, I believe we have service excellence.
Yeah.
And we leveraged on that and put it on an online basis. You'll never replicate our store because our store is beautiful, even if I say so myself, but we try to make you feel our presence in your household. And I think that's the basis of any business. You need a unique selling point.
Yeah.
So our online matured into a byproduct again of us in your household. So I started with Mother's Day. Mother's Day just came after we could go back into business and we did a high tea at home.
Sure.
We said, you can't have a high tea. Yeah, it's fine. We'll come to you.
Wow.
That's service.
Yeah.
That's service, and we leveraged on it. We wanted you to feel something different because it was such a sad time for everybody. We wanted to put happiness in a box and send it to your household for a relatively good price. It's a price point sensitive thing. People also weren't splurging out, so we priced it just right. But we gave you so much value inside of a box. So our first online product was high tea in a box. The Just Teddy high tea in a box.
Okay.
And we started for Mother's Day weekend, and it got us through.
Yeah.
So call it survival. We were in survival mode. Online was our medium to survive through, to weather the storm.
I like that story because I think, throughout your life, pressure brings creativity. And I think Corona brought a lot of pressure and a lot of people gave up. But you seem to have understood that creativity can get you out of that. I like that. So my next question is, obviously we live in a country where we spoke about it offline. Unemployment is between 25 to 40%. How many people work for you, if I may ask?
What about 25 to 30 employees? I call it 30 employees in terms of front of us and back of us. We have 30 people working for us.
So you play an instrumental part in skill development because you bake on site.
Sure.
Do you have any partnerships that bring trainees through, or how do you pass skills on? Do you have any idea or strategy around that?
So in terms of attracting staff, skilled staff and unskilled staff, let me first and foremost, a lot of our bakers started as scullers and cleaners. My family, I trained them. So I'm a firm believer that you don't necessarily have to go to college or get some sort of higher education to be able to do something.
Yes.
I think people are getting locked in too much on education. If you're willing to work and put the time and the effort and can get the result, I've got nothing wrong with it. I encourage it. So a lot of my staff, baking staff, were cleaners, and we trained them because they showed, they showed the will to work and the hunger to succeed in a different environment, and I love that.
Sure.
So in terms of skilled staff, a lot of the hospitality colleges approach us to have their students come out, because when you study as a hospitality student, you need some sort of on-field experience for credits. I don't know if it's the same system from when I studied, but you had to have some sort of on-site experience work.
Sure.
And we accept students. We accept students in that need to come work for about 3 months, 6 months. It varies.
Sure.
But students do come through to our store, and we are approached by those organizations for those students. And in terms of, other staffing requirements, we try help where we can. Obviously we've been bombarded by CVs after lockdown.
Yes.
I mean, it's not a hidden fact that there is a problem. There's an employment problem locally.
Sure.
We try to play our part in helping and assisting and easing that problem, but we only one. We can't take on the full load. As much as I want to have a heart, also a businessman.
Yeah.
The problem is some people just don't care. I want to care, but I have to care within my means. Some people just don't care.
Yeah.
And I think that's what needs to change. Everybody must just have that hospitality. Not just a restaurant. I think just business in general just needs to be have some sort of hospitable nature to it.
Yeah.
And just try help out people,
Yes.
People are desperate for work. People are desperate for money.
I agree.
And I think everybody just needs to try to come to the party. I know it's easier said than done, but I think people need to help people.
But my view is always you help within the boundaries of your ability, and if you comply with those standards that you have for yourself, you've done what you needed to do.
100%.
And if you're comfortable with that, it's okay. So what's the future looking like for you? I mean, we have had another discussion around replicating what you got and the ethos that go with it. But still, I have to come back to it. I want to know, especially for our audiences, what do you think the next 5 years or so would look like, and what are your expansion dynamics that you carry in your head?
So, in terms of replicating this store, first and foremost, I think we're too young. I think we're too young in terms of our brand to open up more stores. I don't want to be caught in that, that the conversation of when's the next store opening, because I think that's what's kind of killing restaurants right now. When's your next store opening? When you're doing another store, I think that's what's killing restaurants. I think greed. The problem is with hospitality. The problem with hospitality is that it's a hard industry. You're literally bleeding out every day. You're killing yourself. You're literally dying. You're applying yourself to this industry. It's hard. And then the minute you see a little bit of money, okay, cool. Yeah. I'm in comfort now. Let's open up another store. But people don't realize sometimes another store kills your original store and vice versa.
Sure.
So I'm not in a rush to open up another store because number one, our store is very organic. I can't replicate something that's organic. It's very hard to replicate this. Given the environment we're in, the Hyde Park environment is very special. Maybe this doesn't work in another environment or another shopping center or wherever it may be. So I'm nervous in that regard because I don't think it's time to do that. I think we're still figuring out our current brand, like a location and the product that we've turned into in this environment. So we're not in a rush to open up another store locally. I don't think we ever will. In terms of future prospects, we do want to go international. I know that sounds funny because I said, no, we don't want to open up a store locally, which might sound like the easier thing to do. But we want to be bolder than local. We do want to go international. I feel that we can do that once we're ready. I think we can just bypass locally other than Hyde Park. We just go international. Because also I don't want to prostitutilize our brand. I don't want to, make it so accessible.
Yes.
No, I kind of want to be snobby about it. I don't want everybody just to, even though we welcome everybody, I don't want it to be on every corner. I don't want it to be everywhere. I still want to have that luxury exclusivity attached to our brand. So if I could see one Joburg, one just in Joburg, one in Dubai or somewhere in the UAE, one in Europe, that's my dream, that's my goal, and I think we can attain it. I've got an intuitive feeling that it will happen. I think because we've got a lot of love in our heart, a lot of good in what we do, I think we will be the recipients of that dream and that goal. But it's a time factor. You can't rush things, especially you can't rush into stuff. But that will come. I'm not to say, okay, we're comfortable, this is it. That's not that. We're constantly evolving, constantly improving our brand. We're working in and working on our brand every day. My family works 7 days a week. We are every single day, start to finish. Yeah. The first people in and we're the last people out. And I appreciate it because we are hard workers and we're just doing the groundwork now. So we will be in another form capacity somewhere. Maybe it is locally, maybe it's not. I can't predict the future, but we are working going to work onto things and greater things, but in time. Steady steps.
I think the growth is something that's that how to approach, and nobody can run or rush you into it. The one thing I wanted to know, it's kind of interesting to me, and I've never myself worked in an environment like that. How difficult or easy is it to work with family members?
Working with my family is the greatest thing that can have ever happened to me because number one was a dream of mine to go into hospitality with my family. I'm stronger with my family than I am without my family. But it has its challenges. Our store's very luxe and pretty, soft, elegant. Behind the scenes, we're killing one another. Yeah. Because we're passionate individuals.
Yes.
We don't do things half-heartedly. I haven't been brought up in an environment to do something half-heartedly. It's either all in or all out. There's no in between. And we do clash. Yeah. But that's passion. Okay? I've got nothing wrong with someone losing their temper, number one, if they've got a basis to it. and if their heart really means, well in it.
Sure.
I've got nothing wrong with that. But it's just, it does have its pros and it does have its cons, but
Sure.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
When I was studying, there was lengthy times when I was away from my family, so I felt like a weaker character. My spirit, my soul wasn't burning. My fire, my internal fire wasn't burning like it was because I never had my family. My family is my life force. I love my family. Again, it's a personal thing, but I wouldn't change this. But also, this shop isn't what it is without my family.
I've got you.
My family is the life force for this business.
What would you say is the one thing, if this is your moment in the sun, the one thing that you would shout out now and call people to order and say, come for this reason to Just Steadies? What is the one thing that you think people will experience here?
I wouldn't lay it down to a counter item. I wouldn't lay it down to you have to have this. Yeah. I think it's the whole. I won't be biased to say you have to come for this. I'm not that type. I believe everything we do is of equal standard, or else we wouldn't have it. But I just want people to come out and experience who we are. Our brand is like, it's like an amuse-bouche. It's a starter of who we are as a family.
Yes.
It's not just for me. This is not just a restaurant. It's not a patisserie. It's not a cafe. It's beyond that. It's a personal experience, and it's a link between a unique family. It's functional family, but unique. And I just want people to experience us and what we have to offer. I believe we offer something different on a local platform, something that's very foreign on a local platform. And given what's happened during Corona, there's no travel, there's very little happiness lately.
Yeah.
I want to try to be a player of that and try and make people happy in a time where people are sad.
Yes.
And I think our restaurant has the ability to do that. Again, that home feeling, that hospitality. I want people to come and sit and forget where they are. I want people to come for a meeting and forget that they're just talking business. I want people to have a conversation like we're having. We're just having a conversation. There's energy, good vibes. I just want people to be happy, and I think our restaurant can do that.
Yes.
So in short, in a nutshell, if you want to have a simple day, outing, something different that you haven't done, come to my restaurant. I can't guarantee we will make it the best day you've ever had. Maybe it's the worst day you've ever had. But we're trying our best to make a difference locally for ourselves and for other people. Just come, have a nice time. That's all I can say. Come and experience our brand.
On that
Because
note,
there's levels to it, there's layers to it, there's different things here, and I just want people to feel at home.
Yeah. If you had to advise somebody today and say, this is a possible industry that you may want to consider to enter into, what would be the advice that you would pass on?
I'm going to look into the camera and say this because it's a very personal thing.
Yeah, do it.
If you want to enter hospitality, you must be prepared to suffer. You must be prepared to do everything that you don't want to do with a smile on your face because it is so hard. It's not for everybody.
Yes.
You will lose yourself along the way, but it'll be the best thing for you as a person, for your soul, when you do find yourself again, because it is so hard, but it's so fulfilling, and it's it enriches your soul. Being kind to people enriches your soul. Making people smile enriches your soul.
Sure.
It's not about money. Money will come and go. I don't do this for money. I do this because I genuinely love hospitality. I love the industry. I love restaurants. I love the fast pace, the chaos. I love it. But that to me is more valuable than money. So if you want to get into hospitality, you must have your heart in something. You can't go half-heartedly. You must put your heart, you must invest your time, your soul, everything into this industry. Or don't do it, because then it's not for you.
Yeah.
It has to be for you. It's not what you see on TV. It's dark, it's ugly, it's soul killing. But if you think you can make it, go ahead and try.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond hospitality. If you really want to do something that makes you happy and just feels good, go ahead and do it.
Sure.
Because you only find out once you've tried.
I agree. Well, Jeff, I think on those beautiful...
I'm flustered. I'm passionate about it.
Yes. I like the animation. I like the passion. I like the talk around family. I think, all of us here and our listeners would have learned a lot from how you position your brand, how you speak about it.
Sure.
And thank you for having us here today.
Thank you for coming.
And we hope, I just want to say this, meeting somebody behind the scenes, matching that up with the experience that we have when we come here, it's a perfect match. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, guys.